את הכל? בטח, בטח, בטח. תודה רבה, חביבי, תודה רבה. Good morning, Kahal Kadosh. Thank you. I'm covering today for Rabbi Azankot that is going to be out of town for a couple of days. Be'ezat Hashem. Today's Lighthouse Torah Project live video feed dedication לעילוי נשמת דבורה פייגה בת שמואל and רפואה שלמה of Ora Devora bat Rivka. So Be'ezat Hashem, we'll start with the class right away. The Zohar of today begins with one of the main topics found in Perashat Tazria. As we know very well, this coming Shabbat, we're going to be reading 3 Sefer Torahs. Sefer Torah number 1, Perashat Tazria, the weekly Torah portion. Sefer Torah number 2 will be Rosh Chodesh Nisan, which is obviously the month of Pesach, a mega month that according to Jewish law, we don't say Anna, we don't say Tahanunim throughout the entire month. We're going to say Yehishem throughout the entire month. And also we have a couple of additional traditions. For example, the topic of Birkat HaIlanot, the blessing for the trees, that Be'ezat Hashem later on we're going to attempt to kasherize or to supervise to see if we have in our synagogue trees ready for the blessing. We also say the topic of the Nesi'im. The Nesi'im is the extra, very short reading that is found towards the end of the prayer books that reminds us of the inauguration of the Mishkan. As we read in last week's Torah portion, Perashat Shemini, that the Mishkan was actually inaugurated on the day of Rosh Chodesh Nisan, and every day of this inauguration was honored a different tribe. So therefore, the Halacha writes that we also commemorate this Shabbat, Shabbat Perashat HaChodesh. Shabbat Perashat HaChodesh is the Perashah that announces actually what technically should have been the first mitzvah of the Torah. We all know very well that the Torah contains 613 mitzvot from the Torah, plus 7 commandments from the Hachamim. What is the first mitzvah of the Torah? First mitzvah is the idea of getting married, bringing children to the world, Berit Milah, and the prohibition of eating the Gid HaNasheh. Gid HaNasheh refers to the sciatic nerve of the animal that according to Jewish law, a person is not allowed to eat. This comes from the incident between Yaakov and Esav, the angel of Esav. But I'm only going quickly just to land to Perashat HaChodesh. So after the end of Sefer Bereshit, the first commandment that we have in the Torah is the concept of establishing Rosh Chodesh. As the Pasuk says, HaChodesh hazeh lachem Rosh Chodashim. This Shabbat, the third Sefer Torah that we are going to be taking out, providing that you have 3 Sefers. If you don't have 3 Sefers, you take out 2 Sefers. If you don't have 2 Sefers, you take out 1 Sefer. But the idea is, if you're fortunate enough to pray in a synagogue that has 3 Sefer Torahs, that's what you are going to see happening, which that by itself is something very special because, as I said inside, it's not something that happens very often in the Jewish calendar. Guaranteed, 1 time a year in the day of Simchat Torah, but the other 2 times could be only providing that Shabbat Rosh Chodesh Hanukkah happens on the same day, and Shabbat Rosh Chodesh Nisan Perashat HaChodesh like this particular year. And our rabbis tell us that whenever the Hechal is opened up and you take out 3 Sefers, you should sell that Petihat HaHechal. We did it in Hanukkah. After we discover and we share with the Kahal the mega blessing that comes to the person on the opening of 3 Sefers, that by itself brings the Shabbat to a much loftier level. Obviously, every Shabbat is important, but when we have 2 additional guests, that makes the Shabbat super, super special. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Shehakol Nihiyah Bidbaro. Thank you. For those watching the class live, the next class will be a bit different than the topic that I'm speaking now. So stay tuned, or we'll see you by Zat Hashem a bit later. Thank you so much. Let's continue. So what is, and this is what Rashi writes, in Perashah Bereshit, in the beginning of Perashah Bereshit, when the pasuk says, Bereshit bara Elokim, and the Rashi there says that the Torah should have started from the pasuk that says, "Achodesh hazeh lachem Rosh Chodashim." The first official mitzvah of the Torah technically should have been Rosh Chodesh. That is the first mitzvah. And I ask you a question, which I saw it in the Divrei Mordechai. Why the Torah makes so much emphasis in the mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh? I ask you a question. How often Rosh Chodesh happens in the month? Once a month. That's it. It doesn't happen every day. It doesn't happen every hour. It happens once a month. Today, Baruch Hashem, in our days, in our generations, we are fortunate. We open up the calendar. Somebody asked me today, Rabbi, I need a bar mitzvah date 2021. I said, are you already thinking from now? Yeah, I want to reserve the shul, make sure that's available. So we today, in 1 second, in 1 minute or less, we can pinpoint any date that you want. You want to know when you were born in Hebrew. Not a problem. Thank you. We go into the app and we get you the information. But we need to know that obviously technology helps us with an app. But how did we do before the app came to the world? So I tell you what was available before that. And I have this book. This book, it's called the 150-year calendar. Yes, they did manually. Can you imagine? 150 years of calendar from the year 1850, I think, till the year 2000. How many generations took to make this book?
15.
At least. How many people were involved in making the legacy from generation to generation? You have no idea how much I used this book before the app came out. Manually. Look for the date. 1924, 1938. I wasn't part of the master plan yet. I came much later. Yeah, no, I wasn't in the oven yet. Right. I wasn't part of the world yet. The world was able to handle itself without me. You know, as we learned the other day. Thank you. What is the person's birthday means? When a person is born, it says that God is saying, I need you in the world. That's what it's written in the holy books. God doesn't need us, has v'shalom, but God has a mission, not Mission Impossible. Right, not Mission Impossible. That's only for the movie, right? I know you don't watch movies, but there is such a thing out there. Okay, he knows the old version. Okay, now we have Mission Possible. We have Mission Possible to do whatever mission we have coming our way. But let's analyze a minute the old way of announcing Rosh Chodesh. Today, we have a wonderful website which everybody uses, and that's what the synagogue uses. It's called myzemanim.com. Somebody told me the other day, Rabbi, I'm flying from Miami or from New York to Shanghai or Singapore or China, and I need to know the times of prayers. I said, he asked me, how do you say? And thank God, if I have to say to him, I don't know, to calculate would have been more than a 5-minute answer. I said, not to worry. Now there is part of the myzemanim.com. They have live flight alerts. Right? They check the pattern of the flight, and then they send you a text or an email when you should pray according to your watch, because you have an issue of crossing the date line. So this is available today, technology. But how was, go back in the time of the Mishnah, in the time of the Talmud, how people determine when Rosh Chodesh was? Short answer, witnesses, Hazaku Baruch. Witnesses, they will go out, they will look at the moon, they will look at the position of the moon, and they will relate and they will report to the Sanhedrin, and then the Sanhedrin will make the determination, Mekudeshet besiman tov. That's why it says that one of the things that Borei Olam, Hashem, thought Moshe Rabbeinu vividly was, I tell you a few things. Number one, how to make the menorah from a solid single piece of gold. Number two, how to, the concept of mahasita shekel. Number three, the laws of shechita. Number four, the kosher and non-kosher animals. And number five, how the moon needs to be, how the moon needs to look, the position of the moon, and that will determine Rosh Chodesh. That's why Borei Olam says to Moshe Rabbeinu, Kazeh ra'a vekadesh. When you see the moon to be in this way, then you are able to announce this is Rosh Chodesh. From this statement of the Perashat HaChodesh of this Shabbat, we learn the laws of marriage. That you cannot marry your wife without seeing her. Kazera'a, you look at her. That's why, what is our tradition? The Hatan comes down and lifts the veil. It is called the Himuna, I believe. Lift the veil and lowers the veil. The Ashkenazim, they call this Badeken. What's the meaning of Badeken? Badeken is not a Yiddish word necessarily. Badeken means to cover. But you know what Badeken comes from? Bedika. Check. Where this comes from? From this week's Perashat HaChodesh. Kazera'a. Make sure that this is the lady that you were dating, vekadesh, and only then give her the ring for the kiddushin. You follow so far? Beautiful. I see my new customers came in from the last minyan, so I encourage to start serving yourself breakfast. I will finish this topic, and then I'm going to switch the channel to the next topic for the special breakfast and class dedication today. So bear with me 2-3 minutes, and then we'll begin with the part 2 of today's class. So we need to understand one advantage that the mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh has. The mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh, yes, it's a biblical commandment. In the Torah, there is a special korban known as Rosh Chodesh. And the Torah tells us to celebrate Rosh Chodesh. But who helps determine when Rosh Chodesh is? The Hachamim. So even though it's a biblical commandment from the Torah, but what the Torah is telling us, go check with the rabbi. Go ask the rabbi when Rosh Chodesh is. You know what our holy rabbis tell us? That the mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh is a mitzvah where the biblical commandment and the rabbinical guidance supplement each other. Because the biblical commandment without the guidelines of the rabbis, of the Hachamim, which again, today we don't need to have this calculation because we already have it set up, thanks to Hillel HaZaken, close to 1800 years ago, how the formula of the Jewish calendar works. But the Torah is telling us that in order for a Jew to function in life and to survive in life, following the Torah alone is not sufficient. You need to have the Hachamim that guide us throughout the Torah. It's like you have a manual, you bought a computer, for example, and you have a manual of instructions that's written in Chinese, and you don't speak Chinese. So what do you need to do? You need to go to somebody who speaks the language, translate it to you. This is what the Torah and Hachamim is. And that's actually a pasuk in the Perashah at the end of Sefer Devarim that says, Al pi Torah asher yorucha. The concept of mitzvah lishmoa ledivrei Hachamim. And when I say Hachamim, I'm not talking about me, Hacham, and maybe the Hacham of the Man Ishtana, but we're talking about overall. We follow the takanot of the Hachamim. We follow the rules. We follow the guidelines. Sometimes a person has a sensitive halachic question. And guess what? A good rabbi will ask someone else in the event that he doesn't know. And that's the idea of calling the great Hachamim, or the more seasoned Hachamim, or certain Hachamim that throughout their life specialize in certain area of Jewish law or practical connection between life and the Torah, which at the end of the day, in every situation of life, there is a room for the Torah and godliness to be revealed. So this will mark the end of the class for the 8 o'clock minyan. I'm going to stop this recording, Professor. Okay? You're going to stop that recording.